Welcome to this week's edition of the Dakota Angler 2-Minute Fishing Report. Well, with the rain that we received this past week and into the weekend and the cooler temperatures, that definitely helped the water temperatures to fall even more. They kind of, midweek were a little bit warmer than what they were, but with the cooler weather, the bite is definitely going to be turning on this week as we look forward to a little bit more stable weather around the area. As far as the walleye bite is concerned, up in the northeastern part of the state, the lakes that produce walleye included Walleye and Bitter, and honestly, Bitter is hot right now. Plenty of walleyes being caught. The biggest problem there is you have to catch quite a few to find those keepers, so keep that in mind. But if you're looking for, taking your family, your kids out walleye fishing, go to Bitter right now. Other lakes included Drywood, and then also Opitz, Midland, Goose, Big Stone, and Hazelton, as well as North Rush. Down in the southeastern part of the state, the lakes that produce walleyes included Dry Lake by Willow Lake, Ponset, Thompson, Sinai, Whitewood, a few being caught at Henry, as well as Madison and Vermilion, and then also the Trophy Lake Twin, northwest of Sioux Falls. And again, reminder that you can only keep a walleye there if it's 28 inches or larger, and there's plenty of walleyes being caught. They're just not reaching that magical mark. Missouri River, kind of hot and cold depending on where you're at. I only say hot, kind of medium. But again, that bite should be getting better, but definitely north of Chamberlain is where you want to be, north, and I mean all the way up towards Mulbridge. Down south, it's been pretty slow lately. Now, what have you guys been doing to catch the walleyes? A lot of snap jigging, whether or not you're talking about using a hard bait like a jigging wrap or a shiver minnow, or you're using a soft plastic like what we talked about last week. The low, slimmer profile soft plastics have been working really well. But again, that aggressive type of presentation has been working for some of the larger walleyes this past week. So again, keep that in mind. Other people are trolling with Hornets. That's been working well. Other people are using bottom bouncers with crawlers, whether or not it's slow death or a 2-hook crawler harness. And what they're doing there is they're fishing for walleyes, but if they come across the perch, they'll stop there and anchor and start vertically jigging for the perch. So that's another way to search for the perch schools while also fishing for the walleye. Now, speaking of the perch bite around the area is starting to pick back up again with the cooler water temperatures. The lakes that produced perch this past week include Big Stone, but the big story there has been a lot of small perch being caught there. You have to really get through the small stuff, and it's hard to come away with any type of keepers at this point in time. Walleye has been doing okay. Bitter is another one. Pelican has also been doing well, even from shore. Whitewood, Dry Lake by Clark, as well as Dry Lake by Willow Lake. Thompson, Madison, and then also Twin. And remember, Twin is a trophy lake, but only for walleyes. Any perch you catch out of there, you can keep, and no matter what the length is at that point in time. Now, the crappie bite really hasn't taken off much at all, but there's few being caught at Ponset, Thompson, as well as Vermilion. Now, what have people been doing to catch the perch and the crappies? A lot of drop chain lures like the Pilkies and the Haleys that you see behind me. Also, a lot of people now are using the Z-Man plastics that you see behind me. It's been working really well for the perch bite around the area, so keep that in mind. Otherwise, if you're using live bait, waxworms, maggots have been doing the trick, and as those water temperatures continue to fall, the bite is definitely switching over to more minnows. So again, things to think about this upcoming week. In this week's edition of Todd's Tackle Tips, we're going to talk about perch fishing and the proper equipment that you need to have to be successful out there when you're fishing for the perch or for even the crappies. But this time of year, a lot of people's attention have turned to the South Dakota Gold, in other words, the perch. Well, a lot of times people will try to use their walleye equipment for fishing perch, and that will work. But again, sometimes those perch bites may be so light that you may not detect them on that 7-foot walleye rod that you use for snap jigging or whatever it may be. Or even when you're using a bobber, it may not work. Now, technically, again, bobbers are really a good tool to use in South Dakota. You can have 2 rods in the summertime. I will use one as a bobber rod, and then I'll use another rod for my jigging rod. And the rods that I recommend for perch fishing is something that has a very light and sensitive tip. Typically a light or an ultralight type of action rod. This is one of our more popular rods. This is the Cubby rod. They come in 6-foot and 7-foot lengths. But the nice thing about this is check out this finesse tip. Here's very light type of tip, very sensitive. Look at the flexibility. I mean, it is unbelievable. That's why these rods are so popular around the area, and we're one of the few dealers that have them in town. So again, the nice thing about this is you can lay this rod right alongside the boat. You don't have to have a bobber on it. You can just watch that tip, and as you see that tip bend, you know you have a bite. So there's a number of different ways you can use this type of rod. And you don't have to have the cubby rod. You can also use any ultralight, and we have a great selection of ultralight sensitive rods that you can use this fall for when you're out to perch fishing. And also, a lot of times you can use your ice fishing rods, a longer length, let's say a 40, 42, 44-inch rod. Just lay that alongside the boat and watch that rod tip. So again, all you're doing is looking for a very light and sensitive type of rod when you're out there perch fishing. Now, as far as the reel is concerned, you want to match that rod up with the right size reel, and typically it's going to be an ultralight reel, and we have plenty of those on hand. The Daiwa lines are very popular. Also, the Shimano Sienna is very popular, and the Okuma Seamar. All of those reels we have on hand. And so again, if you're looking for the proper tackle to be successful the next time you're out there on the lake fishing for perch, stop on by here at the store or check us out on the web at dakotaangler.com, because we'll ship it to you the next day. And now it's time to take a look at a few photos that you sent in to me this past week. And remember, if you'd like your photo included in next week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report, please send it to me. Send it to Todd at dakotaangler.com or post it to our Facebook wall. And before we end this week's report, I want to remind you of the Ice Institute. You know, fall was beginning on Saturday, so can winter be too far away? Probably not. So if you're looking to scratch that ice fishing itch, you're going to want to be at the Ice Institute at the Sioux Falls Arena and Convention Center, November 10th through the 12th. Folks, this is the second largest ice fishing show, and this show is going to be bigger and better than previous years. You're not going to want to miss it. So again, mark your calendars, November 10th through the 12th for the Sioux Falls Arena Convention Center for the Dakota Angler Ice Institute. If you have any questions about the Institute, feel free to give us a call at 605-336-9132 or check it out on the web at dakotaanglericeinstitute.com. Well, folks, that's this week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report. For Dakota Angler, I'm the owner, Todd Heitkamp, and as we say around here, fish on! We'll see you next week. And again, thanks for watching. Stay healthy and always stay safe.